Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome to another glorious episode of Tango Talks. And today we are going to be talking about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. That's right, my dudes. We are back on this ish and it is going to be amazing. Okay, so first thing, I haven't made a Pantheon video in quite some time. And the main reason is because right after my last Pantheon video about the Enchanter, my son was born. And it's been kind of crazy, and I haven't had much time, so I kind of stopped making YouTube videos that I was not able to make while streaming. So here we are. Also, I came to the realization that a lot of the classes and whatnot were going to change significantly before release, and so I figured that I should wait and make more substantial videos when we have more information about most of the classes and more of the game. Like today, and we're going to dive right in. Let's go. Alrighty, boys, so the real reason that we are here is that Visionary Realms released a Dev Roundtable video on December 25th. That's right, dropping it on Christmas like a cute little bean wrapped in a freaking bow. Now, it had lots of little beans, but we're going to touch on the most important questions answered during the Dev Roundtable, and that is about the Enchanter. There's also a few other beans that were dropped, some pretty big ones too, and they're going to come after that and toward the end. So stay tuned, my dudes. It's going to be a doozy. And if you want to watch the entire Dev Roundtable to see all the questions that were asked and the answers that were given, I highly recommend that you check out the link down in the description below where I will be linking the Dev Roundtable so you can hear it all for yourself. It's a damn good listen and highly recommend it. So, first things first, Chanters are confirmed to be a hard CC class. They are not just a crowd control class, they are a full support class that focuses heavily on CC. So they are confirmed not to just be a CC bot, although one of my favorite things about them is the ability to lock down battles and change the flow with CC. Also confirmed is that they will have the ability to perform area of effect crowd control. What form that takes has yet to be announced, but it is confirmed to be in the game. The next question and answers focused on the power of charm and whether the mobs that are charmed are going to be more dangerous or less dangerous to the caster and more dangerous or less dangerous to other mobs. And Chris Joppa Perkins, the creative and programming producer for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, answers this question in a weirdly worded way, so I'm going to let him take it from here.
Well, if they're not useful, there's not going to be a reason to use them. So they need to be useful. They need to be of a power that is actually useful. Additionally, the more dangerous they are to harness, the more dangerous they are to control, the more powerful we can make them because of the inherent risk of doing so.
Now, while this answer is a little bit waffly and not very concrete, what it does tell you is that the devs are thinking along the lines to make these abilities actually useful in the game and not just a part of the game because they're expected for this class. In the same question, Joppa also confirmed that there will be much horizontal progression for both Illusioncraft and Charmcraft that will go along with Mastery when it concerns these spells. So hopefully it will be an engaging part of the game instead of just being tacked on to feel like it's supposed to be with the class, but doesn't actually do much to help you evolve your character class. A question was also raised about charm range, i.e. how far can you take a mob that you have charmed across the world? Because since there are no longer going to be zones, which is awesome by the way, then how far will you be able to move a mob across the world of Terminus? And the answer right now is indeterminate. And mostly for game mechanical reasons. One of the examples given is that they don't want in-game enchanters to end up having to spend an hour or several hours going out hunting a singular mob that they need for a raid encounter and literally just sitting there making sure that that mob is enchanted the entire time, and that is their only job. That would be kind of boring, and it also would lead into like this meta style game where everybody wants to get this mob to charm or this mob to charm, and you go out of your way for long periods of time to do such a thing. What I would also like to see, and hopefully maybe one day the Pantheon gods can hear me, is that I would really like to see something more engaging with charm than just a chance to break after a certain amount of time, or a chance to, let's say the spell lasts 15 minutes and it has a chance to break at any time. Well, and there's, even if there's a percentage chance, it doesn't matter. It's too hard on the nose. What I would really like is some kind of, I don't necessarily think it should be a mini game necessarily, but some type of way where you can reapply charm, quote unquote, without actually having to recast the spell. Like maybe you have to bring up another spell so that once you detect that your minion may be weakening to your charm ability, that you use this other spell to use some mana so that it can reapply that charm without actually having to use the charm spell. It would be a great way to balance the whole power aspect of charming something that is either higher level than you or that is extremely powerful, and that way you have to keep using this ability to keep it charmed. It would mean that if you want to do a lot of CC or a lot of damage, that you can't have a really powerful pet, because that means you're going to be spending a lot of mana trying to keep it charmed and recharming it and using this other spell perhaps to ensure that its mind is weak enough and stays weak enough that it stays under your control without actually breaking and trying to kill you, which would be very, very, very bad. Now that the best is out of the way, let's get on to some other beans that were dropped. So, confirmed, there will be epic weapons in the game, which is awesome. Something that was from EQ that I found really awesome. But Joppa expanded upon that by saying there will also be epic armor as well as epic spells. Now, I don't know how this is all going to play in. He really didn't elaborate any more than that. But he did say you would be getting epic quests from a mentor-like figure, the dude sitting on top of a mountain on high that you go and, beg to teach knowledge to you. And then you go on this amazing journey to get this amazing reward that stays with you for, all of eternity and whatnot. He didn't actually use those words. Those are mine, and it's because I'm being facetious. Okay. Joppa actually dropped a bean about a new system in the game that was announced during this session, and it was the sprint system. Now, that may sound like something that's in other games, but all characters will have access to it. It will be based around endurance, and everyone will be able to do it. But not only that, it will also have a skill system involved with it as well. So you can raise it, and therefore you will be able to go faster and possibly longer the higher your skill is. How awesome is that? I can't wait to see that. He says it's going to have very interesting connotations with climbing and other aspects of the game where you can manipulate the environment and cross terrain. I can't wait to see it in action. Next up, there was also a question about if perception will be able to help you in combat, and the answer to that was a resounding yes. Although no specifics were dropped, they did say that a perception master would be able to help you discern dispositions of mobs and perhaps even weaknesses that they have that you would not be able to otherwise see without the perception system. It's one of those things where it's like, it feels like everybody's going to do perception, but maybe what the reason they say you don't have to do it is maybe you've got alts or something that you don't want to do it with. I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't, other than you just don't care. You know what I mean? So we have to see how this unfolds and how it plays out. All right, and on to the last one, the biggest of the night, in my opinion, and that they are removing critical strike chance from spells in the game. And at first, I was like, what in the hell? But I kind of understand why once they explained what they were going for. So one of the biggest reasons is because if you have critical hits in the game, especially if the critical hits cause significantly more damage than normal spells, then what you have is the ability to do significantly more damage than you thought. So you have to tune down the base damage of the spells, so just in case it does crit, it's not so overpowered it's not even funny. Also, it generates a certain style of play where you'll cast faster spells, fishing for those crits to do the maximum amount of damage. Now, I remember in EQ, the only class that could critical hit on spellcasts were wizards, and they were purely caster classes. And I remember it being very disappointing, is the best way I could say it, when you don't crit for a while as a wizard. But I also remember other spellcasters, mages and necros and so on and so forth, that never got the chance to crit, so it never really felt like it was a problem. You always knew what your mana was going to be converted into damage for. And that's one of the things that they talked about, was that it would allow them to tune spells to be harder hitting for the amount of mana that they cost, so that it always feels rewarding when you actually smack that spell. They don't want people spamming them. They want you to be a master of the spell arts. Stand up, you do your spell, it goes boom, and the enemy actually feels it, instead of it just being a random number generator that determines whether or not you're a badass or not. I could totally see the reasoning behind this. I kind of hope they stick with it, but I also hope that they do the EQ thing and maybe give certain classes the ability to crit. And if they do end up adding crits in a way like that back into the game, where it's like a class can crit, or you get a mastery that allows a certain spell to crit, that it may be like a 5 or 10% damage increase rather than 30 to 50% like it normally is. Because of that reason, maybe they don't call it crits, maybe they call it something else. You know what I'm saying? They could always do that. All right, boys. Well, that is going to be it for today's Tango Talk. Thank you so very much for being here. I very much appreciate you guys stopping by to hear me rant on Pantheon. Hopefully we get more videos out in the future. I will definitely be trying to do more of these for the roundtables and the other podcasts that they have started doing. I would really, really like to. I really do enjoy talking about this game, especially from my experience being a hardcore CC-oriented individual. I love support classes. Don't get me wrong, I love doing my deeps and I love doing my tanking, but I absolutely adore control classes that are more strategic in their use of abilities. Hard CC being the premier optimum for me. I really do enjoy it. I find it amazing gameplay, and I haven't had a game do hard CC like old school EQ in a long, long time. And to be fair, I can't even play CC and EQ anymore because, dude, I've played so many enchanters so many times, I can't even bring myself to play it on P99. I play everything else but. All right, my dudes. So if you want to check out when I'm live on Twitch, you can check out in the link below where I stream at twitch.tv/Tango Hotel, where I'm live every day of the week except Sunday, either at 8 a.m. or noon, where we play a variety of games XCOM. We're doing Elix right now as well, and hopefully one day we'll be playing Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I can't wait for it. So until next time, my dudes, it has been a pleasure and an honor, and I will see you guys next time.